It was 1968. It was an election year. Things were in terrible condition in America. It seemed like the division in our nation could never be mended, and it felt like the horrible things in our family could never be fixed. The world was changing so rapidly. My brother Danny was in Asia serving in the military. There was a horrible war going on. And Christmas came up, and Dad decided to go out and make it so the family didn't have to have the same old Christmas tree. He bought an aluminum Christmas tree. Do you remember the aluminum Christmas trees? He bought an aluminum Christmas tree, the kind with little pom-poms at the end of each branch. And we put it all together eagerly. We thought it would be so much fun. And then it had a light wheel where it was red, green, and blue, and it turned around throughout the evening. And it shined up on the silver aluminum tree. For those of you who have never seen it, you might want to YouTube it or Google it. I'm sure there must be somewhere online where you can look at these things. We all kind of oohed and awed at it, Jetson style. This was 51 years ago, mind you. I was 14. And then Christmas night came, and Christmas Eve, that's when we always did our presents growing up. And Christmas Eve, we sat down, started handing out presents, and Danny wasn't there. It was our first Christmas with one of us missing. And we looked up at that stupid aluminum Christmas tree, and we all hated it. And we all decided it was kind of representative of what was missing in our family that year with Danny gone. And so that Christmas tree was put away, and I never saw it again after that. It's one of the reasons I always love having a real Christmas tree. It reminds me of that year, every single year, when I see the tree that Debbie and the grandkids put together this year. Van Brandon and his wife Michaela were by tonight to drop off some backpacks. He looked at the tree. Van's the one who picked out the tree for me over from Parkview Nursery on Chicago, where he owns the place, and they live up the street from us. And said how beautiful it was, and I thought what a beautiful job Debbie had done on it all. But in my mind, when I look at it, I always go back 51 years to Mom and Dad, Timmy and Kathleen and me sitting around a lonely, stupid aluminum Christmas tree that represented everything that was wrong in the world, in our nation, and in our family. And it didn't seem like anything could ever be right again. Following the impeachment of President Trump yesterday, I thought about how many families are going to be divided coming into this holiday season. Looking with families that have got sons and husbands and daughters and wives overseas, still serving again in a war that's gone on for so far too long. Thought about how many families are going to be heartbroken again in this season in a nation that's divided with poverty. So many people living on the streets. In California alone, 125,000 people living on the streets. Homeless. Who won't have a Christmas tree like this? And I thought about how very, very blessed I am. How very blessed you are. And how good God has been to so many of us. Today, if you're watching this from a library, and you're one of my friends living in homelessness, and you're thinking, geez, Eric, I'm still in the middle of that hard spot. I want you to know that I'm looking forward to being with you Sunday night, having the Christmas party in the streets, having a backpack filled. I plan on filling my backpacks. Hope you get one of mine. I'm thinking it's going to be a really good one this year because we're still about 300 backpacks short of having everything filled. If you've got a son or a daughter or a husband and wife serving overseas, then this Christmas is going to be lonely. I know that feeling of having someone overseas during a war. I remember it. I remember my mom sitting there and crying all the way through it because she lost her brother in World War II. My father being heartbroken because he spent 3 Christmases in Europe during World War II serving in the military. you can make it through this holiday, as lonely as it is, and someday you can make it to a point where you don't forget it, but you look back and you see a Christmas tree and you remember maybe a lonely Christmas. You see hope and you're able to go forward. If you're at that Christmas this year where someone bought a stupid tree, an aluminum tree, an artificial tree, something that you think, why in the world did we do this? A Charlie Brown tree, and you're thinking, man, we should have spent the money and got the real tree. You know, it's still a week away from Christmas. Go out and get something else. Go out and spend a little bit more. Go out and let your sinuses get hung up and just enjoy what you can enjoy this year. Life is short. But even still, the memories that we place. When I was 14, I never imagined being 65 years old and remembering back to that Christmas in 1968. And I imagine that those of you who are going through a challenging Christmas right now, don't imagine that someday you'll be 65 and you'll be able to look back. So mark this Christmas, write it down in a journal, remember about it, lift up your phone and send a note to yourself on video and say, through this difficult time, I want to believe that on the other end of it, there's a miracle waiting to happen. Through this challenging day, I want to believe that in this moment of mediocrity where it feels like everything's pulling me down, that at the other end of it, there's a miracle that's waiting to happen. Debbie, who I never thought I'd meet and fell in love with, decorated this tree with our grandchildren, who I never imagined for a second having grandchildren, which means I have children, our daughter's children. I mean, so many things have happened in the last 51 years that in 1968 I never could have imagined. Really, I thought when Nixon was elected in 1968, the world had come to an end. I thought, it's all over. The whole world is over. Nixon's been elected. And yet somehow we survived. And these challenging days, we'll survive them as well. And this challenging Christmas, you can survive it as well. If only you hold on to the miracle that's out ahead and don't get lost in the mediocrity that's sinking you today. Remember, there's hope, just like there's a star on top of the tree. There's a light and there's life, but you have to make it through this Christmas. Come with me to Christmas. Come with me to the street Sunday night. Come out to our Sunday morning services. Today, I wrote the last 2 messages of the year that I'll be preaching, the Sunday morning's message and the Christmas Eve message for Tuesday night. They're written, they're printed, and then I'm done for 2019. And if I don't survive the weekend, Ken will preach them, and they're done. And another year's in the books. I never imagined doing this for so many years. God is good, and I know that in the times that you don't see it, and it feels like it's just a rotating red, green, and blue light reflecting off of something artificial in your heart and your life, that hope is out ahead. If only you'll embrace it and be the miracle. Hey, be the miracle today. God bless you. Merry Christmas. This can be a Merry Christmas, no matter how messed up it feels right now. Enjoy the lights.